So today we invited 6 students to come and share their stories as undocumented students at San Francisco State. Throughout the next few minutes, you'll hear their stories, you'll hear their fears post-elections, and what their needs are as students here at the university.
Always let's go on the run. He's good. Actually, I read the first page. It's going to read deep.
I'm currently a senior here. I'm studying studio art and minoring in education. I found out I was undocumented when I was 15 and a half years old, when I was bugging my parents to take me to go get a permit to drive. It was like, hey, let's go. And, you know, they'd tell me, hey, next week we're busy or we have work. And then eventually they had to fess up and say, you know, you actually can't have a license, you can't drive because we're undocumented. And it's difficult to be undocumented, I guess you could say. Throughout high school, I always believed, you know, they tell you, do community service, be involved in clubs, get good grades, and you'll go to college. You'll get scholarships, you'll get help. And I did all of the above, but when the time came to apply to colleges, I realized that this was pre-DREAM Act, so I did not qualify for any financial aid, and I wasn't allowed to legally work.
I transferred from Dianza College, so I'm technically in my junior year here. And my major is, I'm a BECA major and a communications minor. I am an immigrant. I came here from the age of 5. And growing up, I always knew I was an immigrant, you know, even though I wanted to get my license. My mom was like, Gabriela, no, eres migrante. You don't have a social security number. And I never really get in my way growing up. You know, you're an immigrant, you can't really do this and that. And I was like, you know what, F it, I don't care. I'm a person, I'm a human being. I really want to work in politics and journalism. I really want to help the community and everything. And civil rights movements was always a huge inspiration to help others and to always be a voice. So when it came time to apply to colleges, that's when it hit me. And that's when counselors didn't even want to help me.
I just transferred last spring from CCSF. I came to the United States when I was 7. I always knew I was undocumented ever since I came in here. I never really actually felt different until high school, when people would ask me, oh, why are you not applying for FAFSA? And well, it's really hard to explain to people that are not familiar with undocumented, with what it means to be undocumented. It's really hard to explain to them what it is, because usually their response is, oh, so why don't you just become documented, or how do you do it? So it's really hard to explain to them. Then when I started feeling different, it's after high school. I wanted to join the military, and well, we need at least a green card in order to join, and it made me really sad because, okay, I came here, I want to give back to this country, I want to serve this country, and I can't do it because I'm not documented.
I came here when I was about to be 6 years old. I convinced my mom to let me come to the United States, accompanied by my teenage brother. We left our parents behind because my sister was already living here. So what I really wanted to accomplish coming here was to go to school, because I knew that beyond the 6th grade in Mexico, my parents would not be able to afford that.
I was born in Mexico City along with my family, and when I was 10 months old, and my parents decided to come back here, and it was actually the second time that they had decided to come over here. My mom was pregnant with me over here, and she told me that I was going to be born here in less than 2 months, but then she felt lonely and, you know, didn't have any family here, so they decided to go back.
From birth, I was born in Tijuana, Mexico. I grew up in San Diego since I was 3 years old. I'm the youngest of 5, 3 boys, 2 girls. Family is very close, and I'm actually one of the first to go to a 4-year university. Despite that, I'm the youngest, and all the struggles that my family's gone through, I've persevered a little bit along the way, and I'm I'm here now. So,
Since the election, I'm very tired. There's a lot of different emotions. I cried all night after the election. There's times where I cry, there's times where I'm angry. Most of the time I'm just tired. But it's a very scary moment for our community because Trump kickstarted his campaign with building fear and using anti-immigrant rhetoric, and with the people that it looks like he's going to be appointing to his cabinet, it's even scarier. It's people that I have in my nightmare list, basically, people that have historically made very, very anti-immigrant laws, like SB 1070 in Arizona, which is the show me your papers if you look illegal law. And he's promised to deport 3 million people immediately, which is almost 30% of the undocumented population. And Obama is pretty much handing over a deportation machine straight to him. So it's really scary.
I was pretty upset, but not surprised, especially because of the whole anti-immigrant sentiment that I've been experiencing since I came here. I was a child when Prop 187 was introduced in 1994, so I feel like this is deja vu, but the only difference is that we were able to get rid of Prop 187, and I don't know how, well, I'm pretty sure we're capable of getting rid of Trump, but it's basically going to be a battle to get rid of him and change the system.
I'm scared because, I have a 13-year-old sister and she's the only one that's a citizen. And right after I found out that Trump won, my mind went to, what's gonna happen, what could potentially happen to my parents. And on top of that, what does that mean for my sister? Like, if they ever get deported.
I feel people weren't able to relate to me. And those close to me were like, just get over it. And it still hurts because people don't understand. Sorry.
You're fine.
They don't understand the struggle and the pressure you face as an individual, as a student. They don't see that.
I think something the university really needs to provide is a safe space for undocumented students, especially now. A resource center for undocumented students has been in the works for years. It's in the strategic plan, but we need it now more than ever. The day of the election, we tried to create a safe space for undocumented students here. And it was interrupted by a man, an uninvited guest, who continually called us illegals, a room full of SS State students, illegals. And
you are attacking people that came together in a safe space to watch the election.
Safe
you
space.
are uninvited, so please leave.
It's a
That's
safe
the end of the
space.
point, okay?
They have to feel comfortable. They can't listen to a slightly different point of
It's not
view.
slightly opinion, but the words that you're using like illegal alien are insults. So if you want to
But
talk
they are
about
true.
the issue,
the only way we were able to get him to go was to forcibly remove him from the room.
Keep walking, keep walking. Let's film this. See what I mean?
please keep walking out.
I'm going. Who are you, by the way? But this is the ultra-liberal lunatic asylum.
But after that, the damage had been done, and you could see, the students were crying, students were shaken, and it kind of ruined the purpose of like having a safe space, but we had nowhere else to go.
Besides support, I think we need to invest in a lot of scholarships, especially for undocumented students, both DACA and without DACA, because our our source, our basically our funding is being threatened, and many of us are scared, not knowing if we're gonna get Cal grants or any grants at all. So I think if they donate, I think it's the biggest way that they can support us, by donating into our school scholarships or any scholarships that benefit undocumented students.
I guess what I really would like is some political help or some legal help, you know, especially if I want to travel to go study somewhere else, or like money-wise, I work a lot and it's still not enough to pay for my books. You know, when I used to live on my own, I wouldn't even eat because I had to pay for school and I had to work, pay for rent. So maybe scholarships, maybe a book voucher or something for you to let us know that you're here with us and you're here supporting. And just because we're not, you know, a U.S. citizen doesn't mean you cannot help us.
I think it's crazy how, you know, we talk about how college is so expensive, and we talk about college being so expensive and really unattainable for some people who are U.S. citizens, who have access to loans, who have access to every single scholarship their heart desires to apply for, and yet we barely get financial aid.
We need to have open discussions about it and not be afraid of where we are. We need to attain those. We have the right to succeed just like everybody else. So if those resources get us where we need to go, we might as well attain those.
So I come from a lot of struggle, you know, growing up and everything. I never told people my story because I was like, it's not for you to know. It's not for you to know my struggle or my story and to feel sad for me. I want you to feel proud and be like, oh wow, you know, she's an amazing leader. She does film, she does animation, she's helping the community, she's so smart intellectually and everything. I want you to see that side of me instead of seeing you're an immigrant.